Jeff here with Lake County's 102.3 XLC. Amazing show coming up in September at the Hyatt Regency in Schaurmburg, the Wrestling Showcase. And the gentleman who's with me today, he's going to be part of it, Johnny Showcase. What's going on, Johnny? How are you?
Doing great. Looking forward to the Wrestling Showcase in Chicago. A lot of people don't know this, but my granddad was a police officer in Chicago, and I've got 30 to 40 to 50 relatives that all live in Chicago.
Really?
So it's one of those cities that I go to, and it's almost like sometimes I tell people I'm coming, sometimes I don't, because it's hard to go to a promoter and say, can I get a couple of tickets? How many? 47. But I've been to Chicago a ton. We go there for Thanksgiving. It's a real cool city.
Yeah, that's great. Now, Johnny, you've been doing this for quite some time, and you know what, man? It's been great watching you like over the years. I mean, from the very get-go, I've been watching your career, Tough Enough 3. Dude, it was amazing, watching you kind of go through that whole thing. So what was that experience, like? How did that really kind of solidify that, yeah, I'm going to be a professional wrestler?
Tough Enough, if I could pick one word to describe it, I would say opportunity. And it came at a time when I was at UC Davis, and I wrestled only 1 year D1. And I had to have both my knees scoped, which is not a terrible thing, but it was enough to kind of bump me off the track. And I switched to gymnastics. And with the idea, I changed majors also from geology to film, that I wanted to make and star in action films. So I was spending like 4 to 8 hours a day at the UCD Rec Hall, doing gymnastics, wushu, breakdancing, capoeira, everything. I didn't have a ton of flippy, twisty skills before then. And that period of time is where I learned most of what I'm doing now, or the foundation for it, at least. So I think that, coupled with me watching season 1 of Tough Enough and being a huge wrestling fan growing up, all kind of converged. And I thought, like, man, if I was on that show, I'd win it. And it wasn't just like that easy.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what happened.
Yeah. And you're like a video game character. The way that you move around and everything, you're a comic book character. You're above and beyond. You and Gravity, I don't know what kind of agreement you have with Gravity and everything, but you can definitely see all the gymnastics and the capoeira. You got into that, you said, as well, right?
There's another guy that says he's the guy that Gravity forgot, and he's no joke either. I don't know how he does what he does, but for me, like, things don't usually come easy. Everything I do in the ring, what you don't see is I'll train 3 nights a week at a parkour gym or a gymnastics place, and just break every movement down into a series of physical cues, and then move it from there to a ring. And then half the time it's stupid and it doesn't work, and sometimes you come up with something magic that's new.
It's unreal, man, what you do in the ring, and just watching some of your videos and stuff of you training and like what you do. So how does your day start off, as far as like how do you decide what you're going to train in and what you're going to do? I mean, do you have a certain day each week? How does it kind of work?
I train my full body twice a week. So my split is push, pull, legs. So that means I lift 6 days a week. Push is chest, shoulders, tries. Pull is back and buys. Legs, obviously. That's just weight training, though. Mm-hmm. Then add to that cardio, and then add to that some sort of skill. And like the skill can be parkour, swords, like literally anything. Like,
okay.
I'm getting up, just for example, to say, like when I say swords, I mean I've got a whole bunch of these things that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And people don't realize that there's like a whole like workout that you can do with basically anything. And if it's a skill plus training, it's interesting because you're training your mind and your body also. Or the guy behind me, I don't know if you can see him, the Wing Chun dummy.
Yeah.
Like,
Wow. So with the swords, what discipline is that? Is that like Aikido, or is that it?
I'm training stunt sword. Everything I do is like basically stunts or wrestling.
Okay.
So, like, I don't anticipate ever having a sword fight with a person. So it's basically something that you could use in wrestling or a movie.
Okay.
Actually, I got Sheamus one time with a really simple thing. It's called a roof block, where you just go like this,
Mm-hmm.
and you hit the guy in the back. And he was gonna hit me in the head with a kendo stick. It was on SmackDown. And then afterwards, he's like, "What the hell was that, mate? All my friends said Morrison pulled some ninja crap and whacked you in the back with the stick." But that was one of the first times that, like, just improv, like I saw it coming a mile away, like a Sheamus just And I was like, not today.
Yeah. Oh, that's so cool. Now Johnny's showcase is going to be part of the wrestling showcase, the Hyatt Regency in Schaumburg, September 3rd. Now, if you can't make it out to Schaumburg, the Chicagoland area, you can always stream it on Fight TV, and all the information on the entire show, thewrestlingshowcase.com. That's where you can find that too. So, Johnny, you say all in stunts and wrestling, and you've had a great career in both areas.
So I think one distinction for me is fighters like to hurt people.
Okay.
And say like stunts wrestling, like I like to play, but my version of play is like I like to play really hard, like really hard. Like if I'm sparring with someone, I know we're sparring,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't mind getting knocked out. Like I don't mind knocking the guy out. Like I don't want to send anyone to the hospital or hurt them,
Right.
but I want to play rough. Like, and that's wrestling. Like rough enough to the point where like it's fun. It's not fun for me if I'm not going 100% and the other guy's not going 100%. And I bring that up because I'm wrestling Rich Swann.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you're familiar with him. If you're not, you should be. He, in my opinion, is one of the most well-rounded, talented performers in this industry. And the last match I had with him was highly regarded. It was my final match at Impact at Slammiversary, and he got me that time. And I've had a lot of time to think about it, and I love the guy. And sometimes the more you like somebody, the more you hate that they beat you. And
For sure.
we've got a lot of motivation to take him out and move on in this tournament. And it's going to be a huge wrestling weekend in Chicago. But I think this showcase, the tournament style, the format, it's going to be the most unique and epic event of the weekend.
Absolutely. And if you look across the board, the card is absolutely amazing. Josh Alexander and Moose are going against each other. I mean, basically every match is almost like
a main event.
It's like a main event for a pay-per-view anywhere.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that the tournament style, like the people they selected for this are all main eventers, like main eventing pretty much wherever they're wrestling all over the world, like you said. And it's going to be really interesting to see how things go as the night progresses.
Yeah, it's going to be very cool. So the Wrestling Showcase, thewrestlingshowcase.com to get all the details. September 3rd, Hyatt Regency in Schaumburg, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So that's like a great time too, a great opportunity. Gives you some time to, enjoy the rest of your night and everything as well. So Fight TV is where you can find that
Because it gets
on the
cold.
pay-per-view. Yeah, I mean, it's a good midday thing, right?
Well,
I mean,
it's the Windy City, right? They call it the Hawk.
Yeah, all of that. So
Yeah.
so I mean,
That's
you've
what I
wrestled in
learned
Chicago
when I was a kid.
numerous times. So is there anything about wrestling in Chicago that stands out? Maybe a particular match or anything like that?
Man, I had a hell of a match against CM Punk, and I remember thinking, this is crazy because it feels like it's my second hometown, but it's his hometown. Like he's, the heart and soul of Chicago. And I ended up slipping over, and it was one of those moments that stuck out, not necessarily because of winning or losing, but because of the excitement of the crowd. Like so many people packed in, so many people for Punk. There are people there for me too, but
yeah.
It was just, there's so much energy at shows in Chicago. And I mean, I've wrestled for AAW, which is also running. I'm excited for Effie's Big Gay Brunch. GCW's running. Of course, everybody's like, AEW's going to be there for 3 days. So there's a lot of wrestling to be seen. And if you're a wrestling fan, it's definitely the place to be on September 3rd. And the showcase, I think, is going to be the event that you're going to not want to miss.
Yeah, it's basically, the way I'm kind of looking at it, it's like the meat to the sandwich, right? So you have AEW there all week doing, their thing a few days, and then, they're there on Sunday. But then like on Saturday, the wrestling showcase is there, and there's the meat. Like, and when you're talking about a sandwich, you want the meat. The bread's important, don't get me wrong.
But you want your 98% fat-free USDA Prime Select beef. I don't know if that's what you had in mind, but I couldn't resist. I had to go for it.
No, it's perfectly fine. So you're hanging out there in the Slamtown gym as the mayor of Slamtown. So you have like a wrestling ring in your backyard too, don't you?
No. So we moved, and Ty and I got married on Lucha Underground.
Okay.
But when Kira and I got married for real, one of my vows was we were going to kick out our pro wrestler roommates. And when I said that, Luchasaurus and Super Panda stood up and were like, "Hey, what the hell?" I was like, "Sorry, guys." And we're not going to have a wrestling ring in the backyard.
Okay.
So we have a gym with a bunch of toys and stuff, which is a good compromise, but no wrestling ring.
Okay. I would imagine that wrestling ring, it was a distraction. You were probably out there all the time.
If I was talking on the phone, standing on the top rope, like I would stand on the top turnbuckle, like balanced, and just talk like this. And I don't think I've ever been better at rope stuff than I was when we had the ring in the backyard. Because pretty much, I was all the time.
Wow.
I don't know if you can tell I miss it. Oh. I've thought a couple times about surprising her.
Oh, just bringing it back? Maybe just just having it, and just she shows up one day and there's a ring again?
Yeah, that wouldn't work so well. When that was here, the Wing Chun dummy, and she walked in and that thing was set up, that didn't go over so well either.
No.
There's a full-on wrestling ring taking up the whole backyard. And I don't blame her. You know what? It takes up a lot of room, and it also brings people over. So not only do you have a wrestling ring, it means like now you're going to have people kind of constantly filtering through. So at all hours, there's people like taking bumps and stuff's happening. Which is the downside. And it does kind of suck, actually. Like if you've already like spent 3 hours in the ring and suddenly somebody shows up and hey, you want to work on this or that? And you're like, my back and my neck are already so sore. I don't think I can move. Go
Right,
for it.
right. Yeah, the impromptu matches are they've got to be pretty difficult.
Oh no, we would have crash pads. We're just trying all kinds of weird stuff. But even that, like, you try weird twists under a crash pad a couple times, and then even though it's a crash pad, you still like feel it in your head or like twisted. It adds up.
Oh, for sure.
It's loud. Rings are loud.
Yeah, I'm really not about taking bumps or anything like that. I know a lot of people who are really into wrestling and follow it. They start throwing indie shows and stuff too. So they figure they can start taking bumps. No way. No
Not
way.
smart. I mean, the human body was not built to fall down and 10, 20 times a day. Or
Right, right.
day. Not what it was made for. We're supposed to, walk and eat and protect the brain.
Yeah, yeah. So Johnny, you're into so many different things. You're a film major, you do the acting, you do the wrestling, you're just into like a lot of different stuff. Jim Morrison's a big inspiration for you.
I got really into Jim Morrison when I changed my name. Like, I read his autobiography, a couple of books of his poetry. He's a fascinating person. And I mean, it's also crazy to think that he passed away when he was 27.
I know.
And the amount that he achieved in that short of a time. And I mean, there's the 27 Club, which we don't need to get into. There's a lot of people that passed away, and they're all like magnesium, they just burned really bright, really fast.
Yeah.
And I think he was one of those people that wanted it done his way and didn't care. A little bit of a narcissist, but also like very vulnerable. So the narcissism might have been forgivable because he's so childlike. Yeah, I'm a big fan of him.
Right on. Yeah, and the music's good too. So
Yeah. What's interesting, when he first started, his first couple of gigs, he turned away from the crowd. He sang the whole concert like this because he was nervous. And the band was like, the hell? And then eventually he turned around and faced the crowd. I think it's a great example of like, he just did whatever he thought would help him get better or get what he wanted the fastest or the best. Like, who cares what conventionally someone should do? For that night, he was too nervous to face the crowd. And then, so he didn't. He just faced away, which is really awkward. And I can't imagine. But a year later or 2 years later, he's performing like the Lizard King,
Yeah, the Lizard King was born, and there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so cool. Yeah, he's a fascinating character. The Doors movie with Val Kilmer, I like the movie. I'm not really big on biopics because it doesn't always tell like the true story, right?
Val really embodied Jim, I think, and he mentioned that like the character stuck with him for a long time. And I'm a big fan of Val Kilmer too.
Oh, for sure.
Have you seen his autobiography?
You know what? It's in my queue. It's one of those where it has to be mid-afternoon so I can sit and watch it and not get like entranced and fall asleep. You know what I mean?
Yep. I got emotional watching it. It was, especially like for some reason on airplanes or late at night, like if I'm watching something and something hits me, like I'll start crying.
Oh, I
it's
cry.
Really weird.
I cry all the time, man, at everything. And now it's like the littlest thing. You know what I mean? And if it's just about, and that's another reason why I'm taking my time and watching that too. I know, I kind of know what he's been through and, stuff like that. And it's like, wow. And then you get nostalgic for a second too, and you think about it. And it's like, man.
I remember watching Willow and like how bad I wanted to see it. And I made my dad take me to the theater, and like, you're like, crap, like, how many like different parts of my childhood did this guy play,
Right.
And then now seeing kind of like the real him, I don't know. Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah, and truthfully, that's one of the reasons I went to go see Maverick, because I just wanted to see like his cameo in there and all that. You know,
Yeah,
Top Gun, the first Top Gun, it's all right. It was more for my wife that I went to go see the movie,
right.
but it was still cool. It was great to see him.
Yeah, and I don't know. I personally, actually, what's your take on this? I'm kind of over the remakes and like the redos and the repeats of like franchises and characters. I don't know. I mean, why can't we think of new stuff?
Well, I think that people do, and it's just like an easy thing to just go into what people are very familiar with, right? So, like even with like all the like with the Marvel universe and all the DC
Like
movies and stuff like
Spider-Man and
that,
Batman have each had like 15 or 20 movies with different actors playing the lead. I mean, yeah,
right? And each time they give us the origin story, it's like, well, we know where Batman came from. We know his story, right? By now.
yeah,
So yeah, it's just very odd. And you know, you said you're a film major. I went to a school that was a liberal arts school, and there were a lot of film majors and stuff like that there. So like, I kind of enjoy cinema and I like storytelling a lot.
same.
Um, you know, I will watch a movie if I see a movie that's going to be in a bunch of film festivals. I'd rather watch that, not knowing anything about it, than
Knowing the
something that's a
origin
sequel
story
or what have you.
and watching it for the fourth time, which
Yeah, yeah.
is another, I mean, really cool thing about this showcase. This is the debut of a new thing. Like, so you don't really know what to expect going into this. I don't know what to expect, other than I know that the roster is all top level guys that could main event anywhere, and it's going to be an epic night. That's pretty much all I know. And I like when people go out on a limb and take a new chance. And this feels like someone's doing that, which is why I think it's worth people's while to come out and watch.
For sure. And the name Wrestling Showcase really says it all, because anybody who's on the card, they could main event pretty much any show. You know, it's a stacked lineup. The card is absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
So the WrestlingShowcase.com. Fight TV is where you can find it on September 3rd. If you're in the Schaurmburg area in Chicago, Hyatt Regency Schaumburg.
There you go. Actually,
Yeah,
Regency Schaumburg is a tongue twister. That's a
Schaumburg is
Regency Schaumburg. There we go.
Yeah. That's usually one I'd probably stay away from, but
Yep.
you know, I got to make sure that we have it in there. So the WrestlingShowcase.com, and Johnny, you're going to be a part of that, man. I'm telling you, I'm really looking forward to that first round match and any match there, you know, after. So
me too.
How cool would it be to be the first the Wrestling Showcase champion?
The Wrestling Showcase champion is basically is going to be a very big deal. Whoever walks away as champion from this thing is going to be the brand ambassador for this new promotion, and is going to, you know, kind of prove that they're on top of the wrestling world. And yeah, that would be pretty cool.
Yeah. And you have a bunch of friends that are wrestling at the show too, so it's going to be fun.
Yeah, it'll be fun to see him, to meet him, to beat him.
Awesome. Well, Johnny, thanks so much for your time. I really appreciate it. Make sure that you're following Johnny on social media, Instagram at John Hennigan, and Twitter, The Real Morrison. Johnny, I appreciate your time. Looking forward to seeing you on September 3rd out at the Hyatt Regency in Schaumburg for the Wrestling Showcase.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you so much for your time. We'll see you soon.
Boise Showcase. That's for you.
I appreciate it, buddy. Thanks once again, John.
All right. Take care.